I'm Danielle Hall, and this is my story. So, growing up, I have always had a surplus of creativity and imagination. When I was younger, me and my little sister would go, we went camping once with one of our best friends, and we created this world. It was called Danelicia, and that's a mix of all of our names. And we just went out, and it was just a magical time. But just little things like that, I've always been kind of just more leaning towards an imaginary world than the reality that I'm in. And so that's been me as I've grown up. I've been creating stories since I was like 8. Not very good stories, but they're stories. I remember there was this one that I wrote. It was on like little sticky notes that I wrote it. And it was about this little brown guy who had a little nest, and he had friends that were like a platypus and a turtle, and they all played together. Anyways, just little things like that. Just usually they didn't make much sense. But as I've grown up, I've developed that skill a little bit more, and now I've been given the opportunity to turn those stories into a little bit more. When I write, it's never one process. It's always a little different. I mean, I kind of follow the same pattern. Usually it starts with me writing it in a notebook of some sort. So, I have a notebook that has so many random ideas of stories, and that's what it usually starts out with. I'll see something, it'll spark an idea, and I'll write it down. And then I'll leave it for a while, and then I'll go back and I'll read it again, and I'll kind of expand the idea. That's usually how it is. It's a little bit of back and forth, and whenever I come back to it, sometimes I have ideas for it, sometimes I don't. But the ones that I come back to and have ideas are the ones that obviously get developed and become something. So the first story that I ever kind of had a beginning and end to was I was serving a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and in Colorado, and I got so bored of the day-to-day. I mean, it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. I loved helping people, but at the end of the day, I just wanted a little entertainment in my life. So I started writing a story, and it was a little bit kind of based on my experiences there, but with a fantasy twist. So it was really kind of fun. So every night or so, I would just write kind of about my day. For example, one time I came home, and earlier that day we had met someone who was really rough around the edges, and but he was willing to listen to us, and so that sparked a little side character in my story, who had a sort of kind of magical feel to him. He was kind of my guide in the story. So just little things that were based on that. That's kind of the early stage process. And then from there, I moved to, from writing on paper to kind of formulating it on my laptop. That's usually phase 2. This story has a little bit of merit enough to go on the computer. And there I'll kind of sort out facts and just organize it a little bit more, make it a little less raw, and this is kind of the more refining process that it goes through. And then after that, usually I turn it into a script because I am a script writer. Not officially, but that's what I love to do with my stories is turn it into a script. So yeah, once it gets into script form, then that's where I start getting like nitty gritty about the details and really trying to pound it out. I've only been able to write four stories that have made it to script, but I got a lot more that have not made it there yet. But it's all just really fun. It's fun to be able to use my own ideas and creativity to show other people like different worlds and different points of view. Yeah. One of my stories is called, always, soon, never. Shoot, why can't I think of the word? Anyways, it's called Mandy and Jay. And it's about the two main characters who would be perfect for each other. They're just like, you can see that they would be soulmates for each other if only they could meet. And so the whole story is over 7 days, and you see kind of how they live, and they live in the same town, and they cross paths almost daily. But they never get that meet. They never get that, what is it called? Meet cute. And the whole story is showing that they would be perfect, but they just don't meet. And that's it, really. But it's just getting to know the characters. That one's more was an experiment on kind of character building and what really draws people into certain characteristics. So that was an interesting one. Another one that I've done, let's see, I have, in case of emergency, no one can steal these ideas. just a warning for all you viewers out there. So in case of emergency, it's where, so the reason that I started this idea was I was scrolling through Pinterest and I saw there's this invention out there that's like a giant metal bubble, and it's for like if there's ever any natural disasters, you get in the little bubble and it's supposed to protect you from like almost anything. And it can go underwater and it can be buried by a mountain of rocks and you'd still be safe, theoretically. Anyways, so I saw this invention and I was like, that's fascinating. And then I started thinking of like, what would be what kind of people would have that thing and stuff. And so I was like, well, maybe a company would have it for their employees. So, so that's kind of the start of the story. And so then this particular invention that I was looking at can only fit 4 people. So I was like, okay, what if there was a room of like 6 people and only 4 people can get in and then they shut? So yeah, so what if there's only 6 people that can get in this thing? So the story is 4 people get in, 2 people get left out. Huge earthquake happens, like tsunami. It's like D-Day almost, and the whole story is these 4 people kind of getting to know each other, being like giving their like this was my last thought kind of thing. Life flashes before your eyes. And so it's like you get to know all these 4 characters while outside it's like this insane natural disaster happening around them. So yeah, that was another story that I had in mind. It's hard to think of them just on the fly. What else? I don't know, I have a few others. It's just random things that spark my interest. Like I was saying, Pinterest, like the finding weird inventions that you wouldn't normally see in everyday life. Or I'm really inspired by travel, and so I've got one that's this guy, this old man, he's this old rich man. So him and his wife go out to dinner, and his wife had made him this little wooden puzzle. And she was gonna give it to him at the dinner, but on their way there, they get in a car crash and the wife dies, and the puzzle went flying. And so, like, a year later, this old man kind of finds a few pieces of the puzzle and is like, I want this. Like, this was my wife's last gift to me. And so he hires this, like, super macho guy to go find all these puzzle pieces, and the pieces are just in the most random places. Like, this one was like an episodic one that I was thinking of, but like, so each episode he finds different puzzle pieces, and it's like somehow this puzzle is scattered all over the world and stuff. So yeah, just things like that get my brain working, and yeah, obviously all these stories are very unrefined at the moment, but yeah, they're in the works. Okay, well, I mean, the first one I ever made, which is called Walk With Me, is the one that's nearest and dearest to my heart. Just because it was the first one I made. The first one had a beginning, middle, and end, and it was a little bit of like a memoirs thing with a very sci-fi twist. So like that one's always gonna be like the story. And I've expanded it to be a trilogy now, so that's fun. Other than that, I can't really pick a favorite just because it's kind of like picking a favorite child. I think they all have really interesting things. Like, some might be more fast-paced than others. I like to do a lot of variety. Like, I don't like to stay in one genre, which has pros and cons to that. But yeah, I would say Walk With Me would be my main one. For me, writing is a way to create worlds, almost a way to communicate hard things. Emotions that don't usually have words connected to them can be explained and understood through writing. When you look at a script, it's all just writing, but the way people interpret it can have a huge impact on whoever sees the movie, just on how someone interprets a script. And I think that's a really powerful thing. Just the concept of like the pen is mightier than the sword. Just sometimes words can do things that actions could never get close to. It's the way we connect heart to heart to people. And when we write that down, we can just connect with so many people. So right now I'm working on The World in the Corner of Your Eye. And this is a story that started out with me hanging out with my sister and her husband. And I saw something out of the corner of my eye, and I looked and nothing was there, and I'm like, weird trick of light. And then just the idea came to me, what if it wasn't just a trick of light? What if it was some being from another dimension that can only be seen in that instance of in the corner of my eye? And so then I shared that with my sister and her husband, and they were like, oh yeah. And so the three of us were kind of just throwing out ideas. Their ideas were a little more like horror movie-esque. Mine's a little lighter, just a little bit. So it was really fun. We were kind of joking around like, oh, it could be so suspenseful, just like these creatures coming out of nowhere and you can't really see them. And it was really fun to just kind of toss the idea around. And so yeah, after that dinner, I went home and while I was kind of, I don't know, just the afterwards, I was like, what if? Like, what if this was an actual idea? What if this became an actual story? And so then I started just going through the motions of, well, who would be my characters, and like, why is this important to my characters, and how do they know about this other world, and all these different things that go into a story. And so it was really fun to be creating this. Anyway, so it got through all my different phases, and finally got to script form. I wrote it all out. Even getting to script form, it's not perfect. Like, it's not like the end product. So once I got it to script form, I kind of let it sit for a while. And then I'm now taking a short film class, and I pitched the idea to my class, and we all voted, and we had to pick 4 of the ideas that were pitched. And I think we were almost 8, around that. Anyways, so mine got picked. I basically, the idea of the film is that there is this, okay, I'm gonna do it before and after. So the original idea of the film is, there was this couple that one of them can see these shadows straight on, and the other one is just like everyone else. You only can see them out of the corner of your eye. And so this couple gets kidnapped by this man who's heard about this world and thinks that there's this army hidden in this world that he can get. And so this man that kidnapped them tries to force the wife, who can see this shadow world, to get the army to come out, and so he can use it. And basically the husband and wife kind of team up to not affect the shadow world and to overcome the kidnapper. So this was the original idea, and we've stuck pretty true to it as we've kind of worked through it. But since it's a short film that we're making, we're starting at right when the main character, which is the husband, wakes up. So he wakes up and he's trying to figure out what's going on. Why is he here? He remembers being kidnapped and drugged and then passing out. And then he wakes up and hears his wife arguing with someone. And so he has to go through, what is his wife doing there? And it's this whole process of trying to figure out what on earth is going on. And so as he's figuring things out, he learns about this other world that has these shadow creatures, and he has memories of kind of arguing with his wife, and then her just kind of running off, and he doesn't know why. Why does she keep just leaving him while they're trying to talk? And so all these memories kind of click in, and he's like, oh, maybe it's because of this guy. And so all these things are going through his mind, and then he realizes that this guy is actually like trying to blackmail his wife with the main character's life. And so once he realizes this, he realizes his wife is still good to him. Like they're still a good couple, and then they kind of team up and overcome the kidnapper and work things out between them, and happily ever after. Okay, so when she walks out, you're gonna follow her a little bit, and you're gonna stand like right here.
Okay.
And then, and then she'll walk out, and then you'll be like, and then you'll turn. We'll have the planner here, and you'll look through the planner.
is this one?
Actually, just want me to keep clicking it. I think we'll say action, and then you click it once, and just kind of wave it around a little bit, and then Risa will come in, and you'll be like, oh. And then so after he says, what are you doing? You'll turn it off and be like, oh, hey. Okay, yeah, so let's start with Cassidy walking off. We'll switch locations. I have to figure out how this is gonna work with the end of the scene. So, go ahead and walk.
Do you want to see my line too?
Yeah, on the other side. The flashlight walks out. We'll have it somewhere here. And then outside. For this whole scene, and then you're gonna walk through here, and then we're gonna cut scene, move the camera to over here, and you're gonna walk in, grab the flashlight, and walk out. Okay. Say your line, and then walk out. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, like I was saying, so he'll be waiting right here. You'll be like leaning against the wall, kind of.
Oh, right.
Yeah, right here. So that, and then you'll come out, and you won't even notice him, and you just turn to walk that way.
It's like that.
And then right as he turns his back to you, that's when you're gonna take him down. However we discussed last time.
That's like smash your head into the wall.
Oh gosh, you need me alive, man.
Have a fist fight. We'll fix it in post.
Yeah. So I think what we're gonna do is you're gonna turn facing this way, and then you're gonna hold up the needle, and then we'll kind of cut scene, and then we'll take the needle off, and then we'll have a close up of your hand jabbing his neck, and then we'll do the
back up a
takedown.
little bit, so it's
Right.
like, you know,
So I'm not like.
'cause it's like,
I'm like.
it's like, I'm over the door, it's like, the F are you doing?
Okay, yeah, and then we'll just make sure that the blinds are closed, so it's
So you walk out, and then I kind of sort of.
yeah,
follow you.
right there.
Boom.
Hold the needle up. Yep, and then we'll stop. Take the needle off. You'll do a close-up jab, and then we'll zoom out a little bit, and you'll take him down.
Sweet.
So
Never.
never jab someone.
Action. Freeze. There we go. Go. Cut.
Oh, you okay? I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah. How about you?
I think this is it. We have to figure out lights. We want lights, but I feel like that's gonna be when. So that's the world in the corner of your eye. It's been a really interesting process to kind of work through. We've been throwing lots of ideas around. We started with having it before, like just having a earlier in the day intro to the characters, and then they get kidnapped, and then through some couple classes where we talked about like just getting into the meat of the story right away. Then we decided to start with him being kidnapped and working from there, doing some flashbacks and stuff. So it's been a really interesting process to get this story from where it started with just like joking around with my sister to now it's being processed, and we're getting close to filming it, which is really cool. We've got all our actors picked out, so it's coming to life. Feel it. It's exciting. Yeah. Okay, so I have many stories, as I've talked about, and what I want, each story I have different goals with. My original story, Walk With Me, I want that to be a full feature, like really good quality. So I'm gonna leave that for a little later in my career when I've got a little more
skill and comfortableness with writing and directing and all that for me to bring that to life. So that one, holding off a little bit, but it will be a feature film, maybe in the 2030s. And let's see, so with In Case of Emergency, that one, I want to do, maybe do it as a short. I think it would be a perfect story for a short film, just because there's not much to it other than introducing this new technology that can save us. A lot of like special effects and stuff, because they're going to be in the middle of a natural disaster, but it'll be easy to get a short story from that. Yeah, I really just enjoy sharing ideas and concepts. So I have my goals for each of my films are very different, and one can be like, some of them I want to be feature films, some of them I want to be short films, some of them I want to be full series, like TV series is the goal. That's the one, the puzzle one that I was talking about, that one I want to be a full-on series. I have a lot of ambition, but we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting as I go forth. I'm just going to keep plugging away, and hopefully my films are, someone else sees my dreams and wants to work with me on them. So yeah. So to be real, I originally got into video production for editing. I think editing is really cool, and I think editors have a lot of power on movies and films and stuff. So that was like the original goal. And then I started writing. I learned how to write a script first, and once that happened, I fell in love with that. I learned how to portray these ideas in a way that's very simple, and like writing a script is very clear and concise, and it's just giving directions. It's telling, have this person walk from here to here, have this person touch their forehead, and giving the dialogue, of course. But so this has been a little bit of a newer goal to me over the past couple of years, really. So my goal for screenwriting, the ultimate goal, if I'm just gonna go out there and say that, is to be a screenwriter for like a big motion picture company. Any's fine, Disney would be cool, you know. DreamWorks or something. But I mean, if there's always like a 20-step plan, so if that dream doesn't work out, then I'll go with doing script writing for like commercials, because you can do really impactful things with commercials. If that doesn't work out, then I don't know. But I mean, there's always a backup plan, so just, I think whatever works out. I'm really open to what, gonna get spiritual here, I'm really open to what God has in mind for me, but I'm obviously gonna shoot for the stars, and so that would be motion pictures. That would be really amazing to be able to create that. Script writing has been kind of a spiritual journey for me, to be honest. When I started into the video production game, I didn't really believe in myself. Like, I thought, okay, I could do editor, because that's working with someone else's dream, pretty much. It's doing the final touches on someone else's dream. But then kind of as I've gone through classes and as I've just created things and have had ideas of mine be processed, it's really kind of allowed me to see that I can do it.
see that I am capable of achieving things that are in my dreams. It's been a really cool experience to just see myself. It's not that I lacked confidence before in like just myself in general. I've always been very like self-assured, but just in the ability to have people understand something that I'm feeling or thinking is a really kind of new concept. I'm very abstract in the way I think, so it's interesting to be able to formulate that in a way that other people can see it. So it's been really fantastic to kind of explore this and kind of get in touch with my creative self and really let that free. I think I've been kind of holding it in because a lot of my stories before school were really like simplistic, dorky kind of, but it's been really fun to experience having someone take my work seriously. Yeah. For anyone out there who is wanting to go into script writing, don't be afraid to let your ideas out there, because you never know who's gonna like it. I'm always shocked of who takes interest in something that I put out there. And that's not even for script writing, that's like photography, that's editing, that's I was writing articles for the Scroll for a little bit, so for our newspaper, so just I'm always kind of like, whoa, you like what I did, and I think that we underrate ourselves a lot of the time, so don't do that. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for being part of my journey. Thanks guys for hearing my story. Nah. Yeah.
Keep like prophecy.
I'll just keep saying it and one of them will come out, right? Thanks guys for hearing my story.
Well,
This is hard. I don't know. Yeah. I'm on the spot.
It's authentic.
This is why I'm not going to be an actor and I'm going to be a director. Okay.